Okay, I think we are streaming right now. Hi, everybody that's watching. My name is Jason Norman, and I am Programs and Events Coordinator at the Writers Guild of Alberta. And welcome to our little online. Sorry, I've got an echo. Sorry. I had an echo in my head. I don't know if you heard that. So this is the online reading with finalists for the Alberta Literary Awards, and we have 4 guests that are joining today. And first up is Catherine Abbas, and I will introduce her in just a sec. But just wanted to say, so if you're watching this on YouTube, you obviously figured it out. And this video will exist after the event's over, so you can watch the recording after that. So the Alberta Literary Awards will be presented on Friday, June 6th at Festival Hall in Calgary. And so at this point, tickets are sold out. We're trying to figure out how much space we have and how many people are, how many invited guests and stuff are coming. And we might be able to release some tickets soon. But for now, you'll just have to, if you don't already have a ticket, you just have to wait patiently. And everybody in this room is gonna have to wait patiently because that's when they find out who the winners are. But everybody that's a finalist has done a fantastic job this year, and we're very excited to have them today. And a lot of people were at the reading in Calgary a few days ago with the finalists. And if you are in Edmonton, we're having the in-person reading with the finalists on Sunday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. At Audrey's Books at 2 p.m. You can find information on the Writers Guild website or Writers Guild social media. And that's probably it. So let's get to Catherine. If she's there, I'm going to introduce her right now. You are there. Perfect. Catherine Abbas is a queer, multi-genre writer of Lebanese descent. Her work has been nominated for an Alberta Magazine Award and 3 Alberta Literary Awards. Is that including this year? Or is this the 4th? 3, okay. 3's pretty good. In 2021, she won Riddle Fence Magazine's fiction contest, and she was shortlisted for Room Magazine's fiction contest in 2023. Catherine's writing has also appeared in publications such as Malahat Review, Funicular, Cant House, and Edify, among others. And Catherine is shortlisted for the John White Memorial Essay Award. Is that correct, right? That's for unpublished essay. So I will let you take it away, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Jason. It's really an honor to be nominated this year. Yeah, this is my 3rd. 4, that'd be crazy. I am nominated in the nonfiction category, even though I'm more so like a fiction writer. That's kind of where I've done more of my publishing and such. But this essay kind of came out of an invitation, actually. Edify Magazine's editor-in-chief, Omar Mualem, was putting together an anthology of stories called Back Where I Came From. It's a really amazing anthology. I'm not in it, but I did write this essay kind of in the hopes that it would make that collection. And it's kind of grown from there. So it's not been published, but I was really glad to have written it because it helped me explore just a lot of the different, I guess, intersections of like language and culture and belonging and food and home and all of these kind of disparate elements that I think for a person who doesn't have a direct connection to a place far from here, maybe struggles to put those pieces together. So this was my attempt to kind of bring some more, I guess, of that like Lebanese culture that I felt was in me more to like the forefront of my day-to-day life. And I started through cooking. I thought that was going to be an easier way in than something like language, although I am working on my Arabic still. So I wrote this piece called Grateful, and it's primarily about me trying and failing to make a big Lebanese dinner for my friends. So I'm going to just read the opening kind of excerpt from this piece. And it starts with a part of a letter from my Jiti, my grandpa on my dad's side, to his wife, my Siti, my grandma on my dad's side, when he himself made a trip back to Lebanon, where he's from, back in 1978. So I will open with that little bit of the letter and then jump into my words. So this is Beirut, April 1st, 1978. Dear Anne and my excellent family, to describe my happiness in seeing this country and meeting our relations, well, it defies description. I should not have come without you, Annie. You would be pleased beyond your wildest dreams. It's amazing how I am speaking Arabic. It seems my Arabic was lying dormant in my head. We, that is, Mary, Johnny, and I, are staying in the Kordahi's home. I must admit their food is good, but cannot compare with the way you make Arabic food, Annie. You are always on my mind, and every good thing that happens, or when I see something pleasing, I say to myself, wouldn't Annie love to see this? All our relatives send you their very best regards. I hope to visit the people on your side, Annie, but most of that is impossible because of the events. All my love to my family, particularly my wife, whom I love very dearly, your husband, Joe. I stand in the middle of an empty road, the blue above me blanketed by a single expansive cloud. It's April, mid-teens weather-wise, typical for Lebanon this time of year. The cedars are short, few and far between. More popular are the knee-high shrubs that dot the landscape. In the middle distance, modest hills stand like a wall of soldiers in defense of the western mountain range, snow-capped and stoic. Up the street is a squat beige building. Cinder blocks are stacked against the wall of a garage, its tin roof protecting a mountain of sawdust. Out front is a mint green sign, an illustration of the landscape's hills and trees. Arabic communicates the building's purpose, but I can't read it. Instead, I read the English word below, big block letters that spell grapeful. Of course, I take this stroll on Google Maps, myself a faceless orange man on Street View. It's October, not April, and I'm in the same Alberta city my parents moved our family to when I was 5. I have never been to Beirut, Beit Lahia, Marioun, Bertroun, the Bekaa Valley. I've never been anywhere my ancestors would have called home. With Syria above it and occupied Palestine below, my dad swears Lebanon will not be fit to visit in my lifetime. I'm struck by the knowledge that it takes only a day to get almost any place in the world. How many days will make up my lifetime? It's strange to think that at no point will things feel safe enough for my father. And perhaps that's because he himself has never gone. When his brothers journey to Lebanon, they return with horror stories. They don't tell of the mountains or the cedars. They are put off by demonstrations of poverty that don't sound any different from what they might encounter in Montreal or New York or Rome, places my uncles have not just visited, but lived. None of Jiti's and Siti's children are fluent in the language they heard growing up. Scraps of their own licked the shores of tongues at family gatherings, but no more than morsels ever stuck. As a schoolboy, my Jiti had been victim of what he said in a different letter to Siti was prejudice. His children would not be subjected to the same treatment. They would speak English. And they did. When my parents married in 1993, my aunt gifted them a Purple Hilroy notebook in which she'd written out each of my father's favorite recipes. Many of the recipes were attributed to Siti. Siti's meatballs, Siti's molasses cookies. My father knows how to make none of them. Siti taught her 4 daughters how to cook. Why would she teach her sons? My father has a very Western palate. Of the notebook's 20 recipes, only the last bears any observable connection to place: Lebanese salad dressing. Olive oil, vinegar, garlic, and mint, salt and pepper to taste. I did not learn how to make Lebanese food because my father did not learn how to make Lebanese food because my father is not one of my city's daughters. But when my doctor recommends I try Mediterranean diet for the sake of my liver, I decide to give it a shot. At the El Safadi Mediterranean supermarket, I push the entrance door to learn I must pull it. My last visit here was for pita and amardine. With my dad beside me, the grocers called me cousin. But tonight the aisles are quiet. I pass a table full of sfiha, tempted to forego the entire cooking process and just pick up a platter instead. The sfiha recipe calls for pomegranate molasses, something I did not know existed. I find it on a shelf with many different fruit molasses, grape prominent among them. At home, I return to Google Maps and plunk myself down in the Bekaa Valley before that mint green sign that shouts, Grateful. One search tells me that Grateful is the name of a Lebanese manufacturer of grape molasses products. I wouldn't have thought to look for it at the Mediterranean supermarket. I had a list from which I would not stray. And I think I will end it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. And who was that? Who was that handsome boy that was stretching in the background there?
That's Angelou. I didn't know if you'd see that, but yes, that's my dog. He's on the ground
Just
now.
got a glimpse. I was happy to see him. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. So our next reader is E.C. Dorgan. E.C. Dorgan writes weird fiction and horror stories on Treaty 6 territory near Edmonton, Alberta. Her short fiction appears in magazines such as Prairie Fire, The Ex-Puritan, and Augur, and in anthologies such as Northern Lights and Afterlives, the year's best death fiction. In 2024, Writers Trust Canada named her a Rising Star, selected by Hiromi Goto, and she was shortlisted for the 2024 Austin Clarke Prize for Fiction. She is a member of the Métis Nation of Alberta. And E.C. Dorgan is a finalist for the Howard O'Hagan Award for short story this year for the Alberta Literary Awards. So take it away.
Thank you, and thanks so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. So I thought I'd read the start of my short story, Gusher, which was the one that was nominated for the Short Story Award. It was published in Hexagon Science Fiction magazine back in September 2024. And I guess it's kind of an Edmonton story, and also the result of watching too many vampire movies as a teen. So I'll take it from the start. We face the refinery at dusk and watch the fading sun fade from pink to orange behind the buffalo in the distillation column. The mall tugs at our backs on the far horizon, and downtown the revolving tower looms. These wildfire days, we don't have to get closer. We can taste the hydrocarbons in the air. I like to pretend that this is more than an oil city, that the refinery is a moon station and the downtown and mall are planets, or that the buffalo are still thundering along the North Saskatchewan, not penned in a nature preserve beside a refinery. Tonight it's not enough to breathe it. Me and Billy are hungry. His eyes flash iridescent, and he points to the distillation tower with a whirlless finger. I hike up my dress, and we climb it like spiders. The guard doesn't notice until we're climbing back down with our flasks. He raises his radio, and I kick it away. Billy opens his mouth wide, and his long teeth gleam with grease. I've been an oil vampire for 30 years, and a mall rat even longer. I spent my youth in the mega mall and studied in the food court high school. I slouched in mirrored columns and nicked things from stores. It was the slouching that the guards couldn't stand. They chased me through the mirrored hallways, but couldn't catch me. I knew them all better. I still do. I met Billy one night in the food courts. It was past midnight. Billy was at his own table, staring into nothing. His eyes had a sheen. I thought it was drugs, but I was wrong. He said, "Hey." I said, "Hey," back. Billy came to Leduc in the 1947 oil boom. He grew up in the Ottawa Valley, the fourth generation of lumberjacks. Now here in the West, he wears cowboy shirts. He still says his R is funny. I haven't aged since that first night I met him. I still dress like it's 1993. Baggy white jeans, long floral dresses, choker necklaces, flannel shirts, dark lip liner, no eyebrows, grunge forever. I thought it would be like in the movies. Me and my best friend Amy watched them in the theaters. We'd buy tickets for matinees, then hide out in the bathroom between showings. We'd sneak back and forth into the theater for the next run. We watched and rewatched vampire movies in the mall for years. That first night with Billy, I asked him about his maker. I imagined it was an old one from somewhere across the ocean, but Billy said he was something different. He said he was born with a steam engine, but I wasn't listening. I was staring at his long teeth, at those siphoning canines. He put one tooth in a silver flask and the other one deep in my wrist. Instead of sucking my blood, he pumped my veins flush with crude and oily vampiric saliva. I looked up at the mirrored ceiling of the food court and watched an ink spot spread in the back of my eye and then bleed down behind my septum and blossom in the engine of my straining heart. After the refinery, we can relax. We go to bed with a deep ache in our belly, oddly quiet. Our skin isn't so fragile, and we don't have to worry about brushing a hand or shoulder against the yellow starred wallpaper and unleashing a hot torrent of crude. We feel so good in the morning that we go to the mall. We don't have bus change, but Billy glares at the driver until he holds the door open for us. A screen on the bus flashes headlines, and we see the word refinery and the black and white blur of my floral dress. Me and Billy meet eyes. Did the censors somehow catch us? At the mall, Billy beelines for the theme park. He only plays one game, trying to land a plastic donut around a glass bottle. He pays $4 to the kid running the game, and I can see the kid thinking, what a sucker. Billy will never believe the game's fixed. I know better. The game bores me, so I wander. This mall is bigger than Billy knows. When I was a mall rat, I'd sit in my math in the mall class and count all the possibilities. With the parking lots added, they're limitless. I've been walking these halls for decades, and there are worlds I haven't discovered. I can feel them. My life with Billy is so much smaller. I walk by farmers in suspenders taking pictures of the pirate ship. Outside the water park, I pass a mob of preteens. I show them my teeth, but they're busy with their phones. I take 2 escalators and pause at the mini golf to sniff at the hydrocarbons in the fake grass. 7 corridors later, I reach my special place. It's the smallest food court of the mall, also the most ancient. The lighting's dim, and there's no elevator music. The only sound is distant water fountains. Billy doesn't know this place exists. Most of the restaurants are long closed. Now there's only a muffin place and a hamburger counter. The movie theater stopped showing movies years ago. Me and Amy went to the newer theaters. We joked we'd come here when we were old. But it's the back of the food court that draws me. The banner's still hanging from the ceiling, proclaiming the high school in the mall. I'm dead inside now, but when I look at it, I almost feel something. The food court's deserted, so I have my choice of tables. I sit down and stretch out my feet, and something in my gut twinges. I wipe my palms on my jeans and they streak. I'm hungry for oil, not food, but I walk to the hamburger counter anyway. My eyes catch on a condiment called buffalo, and I think of the ones beside the refinery and let out a chortle. The server puts down her paperback. Are you ordering? I sniff the griddle, but behind her, but there's only dried meat. It repulses me. The server mutters. When I turn back to my table, there's an old woman sitting in my chair. Billy says to avoid strangers, that they're always trouble. I once asked him why then did you speak to me? But he said that was different. I sit down with the old lady to spite him. Her eyes are avian, and she holds out a toonie. For tea, she says. I shake my head, and she presses the coin into my bicep. I move back, and she pushes harder. The toonie leaves an imprint in my skin. I have a vision of an oil gusher spouting from my arm and pooling, so I take the damn coin to the hamburger counter. The server tells me tea is $2.50. I don't move. Eventually, she swears and turns on the kettle. When I return with my tea, the old woman has her back turned. I was young for a long time, she says. She's facing the theater and her head bobs when she talks. I fumble with my tea, my smooth fingers not finding traction. The old lady spins round and I almost spill it. You can change. Her eyes are sharp, digging into me. I don't reply and she doesn't wait for me. She struggles to stand, then asks directions to the pirate ship. She shuffles away before I can answer. I have a feeling she knows the way. Maybe she was a mall rat too. I'll stop there. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. And we're going to hear you read some more on Sunday at Audrey's Books, right? I think.
Oops. Yep.
Awesome. That was really good. Thank you so much. So next up, we have Samantha Jones. Samantha Jones is a poet, editor, and earth scientist who has called Mohkinstsis, Calgary, Alberta, home since 2006. Sam is both Black Canadian and white settler with roots in Nova Scotia, Quebec, and Ontario. She has 2 experimental chapbooks that explore living with OCD, site orientation, and wallpaper. Her full-length poetry collection, Attic Rain, was published by New West Press in 2024. Sam is part of the Land and Labor Poetry Collective, who recently co-edited the anthology I'll Get Right on It, Poems on Working Life in the Climate Crisis, which is forthcoming in fall 2025 with Roseway Publishing. And Sam is a finalist for the Stephen G. Stephenson Award for Poetry Book. So take it away, Sam.
Thank you so much. And I'm just going to read a selection of pieces from Attic Rain, which is also about my lived experience with OCD. And the book is mainly shorter poems, and there's a mix of form poetry like haiku, mondo, villanelle. There are free verse poems, and there are also experimental forms, including some visual poetry and kind of poetic cartographies and sketches. So I'll give you a feel for some of the different styles in the book. OCD haiku. River swells with melt. Think about raising items 2 feet off the floor. Hot afternoons seed cumulus clouds and anvils, compromise the roof. First night cold enough for the furnace to kick in, dreams of pilot lights. Deep freeze encroaches, walls with vapor barriers, pray the pipes hold strong. Botulism villanelle. Thumbs trace circles on aluminum cans, stopping to linger on each accrued dent, dispelling worries of my buying hands. Weekly ritual, detailed grocery scans, perusing for lids peeked up in small tents. Thumbs trace circles on aluminum cans. Careful attention to product lifespans. Mindful shopping, a relief from torment. Dispelling worries of my buying hands. Pantry abundant with weeks of meal plans. Outcomes differ from well-meaning intent. Thumbs trace circles on aluminum cans. Inspecting dropped food as soon as it lands. Disposing items disfigured or bent. Dispelling worries of my buying hands. Double check before pouring into pans. Persistent, consistent need to prevent. Thumbs trace circles on aluminum cans. Dispelling worries of my buying hands. One of the things that I found really amazing and insightful for myself when I was writing this book is prior to this, I mostly wrote free verse poetry, but I found that so many of the forms like villanelle were really useful in holding the content related to communicating about OCD, the repetition, how things are appearing but in different configurations, and mixing and matching with some of the ways that these intrusive thoughts or behaviors might manifest themselves in different ways. Home, bitter home. Once I have settled for the day, night, weekend, it's easy to keep an eye on things, on a path forward, free from fog, tuned to connections that turn on and off. Once I have settled on a path forward for the day, night, weekend, free from fog, it's easy to keep an eye tuned to connections on things that turn on and off. I end up with an iron that sits in its box for years before I give in and loan it to house guests who don't know the way things must sit on their own, disconnected, disarmed, the code of conduct surrounded by a nothingness, empty space that fire can't jump. Who don't know the code of conduct, the way that things must sit surrounded by a nothingness, on their own, empty space, disconnected, disarmed, that fire can't jump. I skip the home listings with gas ranges, kitchens to visit again and again. The worry would smother me. Attic rain. Thoughts rise on warm air and wrap the rafters, beams embraced by crystals, a closing hollow, one delicate layer over another, deposits lining the inside of an icebox. The threat of melt is always present, and on the day I least expect it, this deep freeze will end and it will all come pouring down. Origin story. In the beginning, I was just a girl who liked the pristine, crayons arranged Roy G. Biv, factory settings, and stickers still on white backing. Perfectly planned notebooks, categorized knickknacks, and sentiments tucked away, not yet ready for garbage day. I learned how to lock up and use dull knives, put my own spin on family traditions, the art of list making on takeout menus, flyers, sticky notes, envelopes, whatever I've got. My magic expanded to fill a growing shell, threading every cell with a string of worries, pearls too tight to slip off over my head and return to their music box. Walking back to double check. I draw worry maps with invisible ink on carpet tiles, maple planks, my feet accomplices to assorted rituals, sometimes sparked by nothing at all, pure action. The day is made of many trails, back and forth, until I'm certain I'm capable of leaving well enough alone. I've made a life of treading lightly, the entrance and exit to this maze undetectable by most, until overlapping footprints up and down and up and down and up and down my front steps and into the snow give me away. And that one I find also fascinating from sort of thinking about myself and the things that happen to me, and the way that in certain times of year and conditions like a snowy weather, an OCD checking routine that might compel me to return and check the door again could be visible by my footprints, whereas in fair weather or other times that might be completely invisible and someone might not know what's happened in a particular space if they haven't seen me there or if they don't know me very well. Every day I draw worry maps. This body moves according to its own method, reverberating, returning, repeating, choosing soothing routes through space. Each place requires careful consideration. These feet sketch memories, paths worn over and over, a part of me left pressed into the earth. To retrace my steps, just follow the web of shallow rivulets. And I'll read one more short one to finish off here. All of my unfinished darlings. I return again and again to dig for errors, omissions, and ongoing excavation that flips progress inside out. I promise to just fix the hem, but leave the stitches loose, a flap half dangling, held up with a safety pin. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the reading. Bye.
Thank you so much. That sounded great. So thank you. So last but not least, we have Crystal Smith. Crystal Smith is published in ARC, CV2, Room, and elsewhere. She is the winner of Subterrane's Lush Triumphant Literary Award in Creative Nonfiction. Crystal's debut poetry collection, Invisible Lives, is a finalist for the Stephen G. Stephenson Award for Book of Poetry and is out with University of Calgary Press in the Brave and Brilliant series. She lives in Red Deer, Alberta with her son. Crystal. Take it away.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I forgot to click my mic on there. Thank you so much. I changed my mind and I'm just gonna do one that has 2 swears in it, so we'll see what happens, okay? I hope that's okay. I can't see you, but okay. All right. This is called Sinatra on Metal Rivets. Do you know what's strange about losing a connection to a person? Sometimes there's a phantom pain, appendage, a conduit in between, a leg to send love messages, an arm to hold the space, fingers to weave shadow boxes, and necks to bear the weight. Do you know in between? I've learned there are steps to writing a good poem, a Canadian poem, a womanly poem, a poem from the prairies, from the Rockies, from the black fly cottage swamps out east, snakes piling up in Manitoba, fill a white plastic bucket with coils, let them slide free. Here's what I know. Write about Leonard Cohen. All the deep writer girls talk about the dark holes of their belly buttons, their fingers running on their tummies. Grab a mic and pull it close. Sinatra on metal rivets. And croon Cohen. Croon it long and slow and urging. Sing about dusty guitars and men gone to oil rigs, men gone to cowboys, men gone to alcohol, gone to pickup trucks and waterproof boots, to brothels far off from White Avenue, gone to daddy, gone to Greece, gone to aching, longing, fucking, fighting, to a mistress in a swanky hotel, someplace far away, like Toronto. Add seas of golden wheat swaying under endless prairie skies. Draw a doodle to handcraft perfection, plastered to a hope chest, lacquered to freeze the moment when he says he believes in you. Remember it all enough to write it down. Think always of missing arms and legs and hands and necks, holding up faces, familiar but impossible to recognize. Play those memories like it's motherfucking Groundhog Day, and you're Bill Murray, and you just don't give a fuck. Master the piano, let your wrist jiggle to make some vibrato on your violin. Be alone, always alone. Watch how the yellow lines curve along Highway 97 North. Stop your car in Enderby and cry. Okay, this next piece is called The Excavation of Ponce de Leon, and it is about my time that I apprenticed with a midwife in my early 20s. I'm living where settlers displace the Shoshone, convergence of the Lemhi River and the River of No Return, pot-bellied stove near small hardwood floored rooms from the 1920s. Perhaps a miner and his family lived here once. Drifting in from Gilmore or Leesburg, places now forgotten in the Bitterroots. Sagebrush knocking against depression newspaper plastered on walls. Tattered gingham curtains swaying against rigid grime in the breeze, faded in 100 years of sunshine. They say Sacagawea came from this place. A carved statue of her holding her baby is all that remains, greeting German tourists at the front of a nature center with winding gravel paths. Red willow bends and curves near the flowing river, makes a basket out of the land. A bronze replica of a grizzly bear paws at jumping copper-cast salmon, long since dead to dams. Signage along the highway to Mud Lake reads about the mercury poisoning of Lewis and Clark. Always Sacagawea immortalized in the national parks, brown and yellow, pointing west, a destiny manifested. Annette took me on as her apprentice, asked me why I should be a midwife, saw my great-grandmother holding open her hands in Oyen, Alberta, catching a baby, wiping off vernix, and then gently reclaiming the suffering. Midwife, undertaker, mother, her teleological job title, even though the living were afraid to handle the new, the old, the dead. Phone calls in the middle of the night, most often 3 a.m. Full moons are busier. A round of prenatal, labor, and postpartum, weighing babies in swaddling, cotton flannel baby scales sling. One night, Annette tells me of dreams, a full bursting fruit, flowers, budding in heavy rains. And yet another, a woman walks clumsily along a railroad path, dreams each night of finding a dead calf half removed from its amniotic sac. This, she tells me, is a cord prolapse. Place your hand gently on the baby's head, watch the posterior fontanelle, push up to allow flow through the umbilical cord. Call 911. We women, unafraid, stand in the pools of water that come between our grandmother's legs. Okay, and I'll just finish with this poem called Apollo Aquarium. I loved silver threads, magician scarf theatrics in lines of your brow. Moon is lonely. In the sky, pastry wrapped space junk circles solar-powered sails. Tea kettle steam erupts. Cooling engines screech. Plastic orb births loose leaf paper. Mechanical pencil scribe writes Cassiopeia across mid-Atlantic night. Stars munch crumpets, floss satellites from teeth. You were machine reverbs, caught in super oil novas. Rusted truck, rusted man's throat closed over cabaret sounds. This one's for the boys, for lanterns folded in Jupiter winds, for Ethernet cables burrowed in skin. Pour one out. Colonists sent to Mars, hopscotch across red dirt, collect WD-40 rocket joints, soft missile pocket retina shapes, seashell Madeline, UFO macaron, llama animal cracker turns to dust, hourglass mouth water falls calcium, chalk at your feet. I loved you, round, pale, metallic nettles, butter bread telescope, dark side moon. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my work tonight and for hearing everybody else's work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to put it on the gallery view if people want to say or wave or say goodbye. I want to thank Sam and Catherine and Crystal and EC for joining us today. Everybody was so great. I just want to say two more things. Everybody's sound was so good. All your like mics, like everybody's sound so good. And everybody stayed to watch everybody else. I always think that's super nice. Even when you're online, you could probably just like leave and people got stuff to do. So thank you very much for staying to support your fellow writers. Thanks to everybody for watching, and whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording later. Congratulations again to all of you finalists, and good luck in June. And I will see some of you on May 4th at Audrey's. And I hope everybody that's watching, hope people come to Audrey's, and it's going to be great. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night.